Hey, it's Juck. At number one, the most beautiful uniform in all of sport. If they brought back the gray stripes, this thing is so far out in front of everybody, you can't touch it. We are not bemoaning the noon kickoff. We are now owning it. It's a badge of honor. We're the lunatic fringe that defines our coach's legacy when it comes to this game. They don't get to define that outside the family. We're cut from a different cloth for Ohioans. Do I want Michigan to beat Oklahoma? No way in hell. I don't know what world I'm living in. This is insane to me. And if you saw my outburst, I apologize. It's showtime now. And welcome into Juck on Bucks. Appreciate you so much for joining me on a Thursday. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday because Ryan Day had a press conference yesterday, which was Tuesday, and I talked about the offensive line yesterday, as it seems like Josh Padilla may actually be getting his opportunity to, I don't want to say start over Tegra next game, but it sounds like he's going to get some more run. He just had 26 snaps, which was more than Ethan Anyanwa had, splitting with Tegra. And Ryan Day was asked about Tegra, and he did not dig his heels in and say Tegra's our guy, like he did with Brandon Inniss when he was asked about Brandon just a little while ago by our buddy Dylan Davis. Instead, he said everybody's going to get looked at over the bye, and Tegra's one of them, and they're going to get their grades. And Tegra, I'm certain, did not grade out as a champion. There's no doubt about that. Unfortunately, the rest of the entire offensive line also had a pretty lousy game at Wisconsin, which is slightly concerning only because they ran a lot more RPOs, and that called for a lot more 11 personnel, which most of us have been saying, we want to see less of these doggone tight ends. Okay, enough of this experiment. It's not working good. So what happens? They pull the tight ends off, and now all of a sudden we see offensive line breakdowns, and the question is, are those two things related? Were the tight ends insulating the offensive line from those errors? It's a fair question. I don't think it's correlated because the way we saw the offensive linemen get beat were fundamental technical errors that we don't usually see them make. They usually have really sound technique, sans one or two of them, but we even saw Austin Siereveld playing with poor technique, turning his shoulders to the sideline, getting beat on the inside. We saw some things that we don't usually see. We saw Phil Daniels giving up 6 pressures, and he wasn't going up against some animal. He had given up 2 all year. So he tripled his annual total in that game. So I think that it was just a bad game for a couple of guys, and it just happened all at once. I don't think it's related to the fact that they were playing more 11 personnel. Ryan Day asked about the wide receivers, Quincy Porter specifically, as Quincy had a really good game. Not a really good game. He had 2 catches. He looked good doing it. But the period during the game when he was playing, the game was still in flux. They were real snaps, and that's different. We don't usually see that from Ohio State. Also, Mylan Graham, Phil Bell. These guys look like they're ready to play these younger guys a little more. Ryan Day talked about that in a very matter-of-fact way. Like, we need to spell Carnell and Jeremiah. And it's really interesting that he was talking about it like that because that's not something, that would be a big philosophical change. It's not something that they've ever done. I say we, like a lot of fans, because we have so many awesome wide receivers usually on the roster, like, hey, man, let's see that guy. I want to see that guy play. And it's been a common theme. Like, can we get a little more rotation in the wide receivers? Because, you got all these toys. You want to see them out there and play. And it sounds like Ryan Day and Brian Hartline might be ready to give the younger guys some run, which I would love. I think most people would. You just want to see what you got. You want to see what you got. And I know for sure people want to see Mylan Graham. That one's been out there for a long time. A lot of people would like to see him move to the slot. And a lot of people would say, look, he doesn't even play the slot. Well, he played the slot some the other day. We also saw Carnell just shift over to the slot. Like, these dudes are playing all over the place. And we've known for years that Brian Hartline trains them at all the positions. They got to learn them all. And maybe there's some who I don't know if a Des Jones is going out and learning the X, but you know what I mean? I think Mylan would be an excellent slot receiver. And if he was pitted up against Brandon just on receiving skills at the slot after he learned it, he would smoke Brandon. We all know that. That's not everything that goes into the position. But the more he gets on the field, if they really go this route, the more he makes plays, the louder that drum beat's going to get. But Brandon did catch a sweet touchdown, and I felt really good for them. And I don't know if you noticed, but when he caught that touchdown, the exuberance on his teammates for him catching that touchdown was pretty cool. The running backs, which we did not get to yesterday, the running backs, and there was kind of this feeling heading into that Illinois game that Isaiah West might get a little run, and he did. He got a couple of carries at the end of the game, but the game was still a real game. Unfortunately, they telegraphed 3 runs, and they had no shot. Then heading into Wisconsin, it felt like Isaiah West was going to get some real carries, and boy, did he ever. He got 9 carries, and what a debut it was for Isaiah West. Unfortunately, the only way that happens is if you're still looking for answers in your running game, which Ohio State is. They're still looking for answers outside of their starter, Bo Jackson. The other freshman, Isaiah West, had 9 carries for 54 yards and looked really good doing it. 6 yards a carry, broke a couple of tackles, physicality. And really all it took was watching him in those 9 carries for most people to realize Juck was right all along. Sorry, the freshmen, both of them, are in fact the best backs on this team. So now the toothpaste is out of the bottle and everybody's seen it. There's no putting it back. There's no putting it back now. Isaiah West and Bo Jackson are the 2 dogs moving forward. And obviously they're not going to come out and say that. Ryan Day was asked about it. When we look at this thing statistically, yards per carry, yards after contact, missed tackles forced. When we look at CJ Donaldson, he ranks about 250th out of 283 backs in the FBS in all those categories. Like, he's in the bottom 10% performance of running backs in the country. That's not Ohio State caliber. 278 of 283 in the country in missed tackles forced, which is interesting. Like that, this is a big guy. And the fact that he has 2 missed tackles forced, Isaiah West, in the very limited time he's played, has 7, is kind of insane. It really is. So here's everybody's stats together, and we'll pull these up and take a look at these. Going down the list of attempts, you've got Donaldson with 60, Jackson now the attempts leader on the year with 68, Peoples with 40, and West with 21. Yards per carry, you can see I've highlighted Bo at 6.4, even after that rough game, which was strictly related to the offensive line in the first half. Bo still at 6.4 yards a carry, which is more than anybody else. Yards after contact, Bo at 4.8, and he is just a monster at that. Tough to bring down. Isaiah West's number there will go up. There's no doubt about that. Missed tackles forced. Here's where Isaiah West shines. Look at that. 7 out of 21 carries. That is 1 missed tackle forced out of every 3 carries. Donaldson, 1 missed tackle forced out of every 30 carries. Peoples has not done bad there. He's right on pace. And when we look at these 10-yard plus carries, Peoples has 6 in 40 carries. Donaldson has 6 in 60 carries. Bo's got 14. Isaiah's got 3. There is still hope for Peoples to develop into a good back. There is. Donaldson's cooked. He is who he is. He's a mercenary 1-year guy, right? And when you come in, and this is part of the end, there's some people who get mad at me for the way I talk. Listen, I heard somebody say yesterday, Donaldson's great. He's great. But it looks a lot better when Isaiah and Bo. Man, cut the nonsense. No, he's not great. He is we talk about the NFL-ication, and people tell me, you're stuck in your old ways. You need to come around this NFL-ication. Okay, well, this is the other part of that. This is a free agent running back from West Virginia coming in underperforming. That's what it is. So if you want me to get down with your NFL-ication, this is the other part of that. These guys are making money to come in as free agents for 1 year. Anyanwa done absolutely nothing. A total bust of a signing. This guy, he's contributed at least. That's great. But there was somebody telling me the other day in the comments, like, I make it sound like he is way worse than he is. Dude, if performing out of 250 out of 283 isn't like as bad as it can get to you while still playing, I don't know what is. Like, 283, or is everybody just good? Everybody's good. Anyway, unfortunately, when we talk about Peoples, who I like and got a lot of love for, this is a kid who grew up in San Antonio, a Buckeye fan because mom and dad are from Ohio. And, you want to root for a guy like that. This is a kid who voluntarily chose out of high school to come to Ohio State. That hits me different. I'm sorry. It hits me different than a senior 1-year rental guy. It just does. It always will. It's different to me. James Peoples had Ohio State posters on his wall when he was a kid. So I root for James Peoples. Unfortunately, he's now in a position where it looks like he's going to be passed by 2 freshmen, and that blocks his pathway to playing time. So where does that leave him at the end of the year? I hope he has a great year from now to then. So if he does eventually have to leave to play, he finds himself a great landing spot. But Ryan Day was asked about the backs, and here's what he had to say.
Is this maybe the perfect time to maybe set a strict hierarchy of who should be getting what in the game, who should be involved, who shouldn't be involved? And is that part of the conversations that you guys want to have?
I think most of the guys are so young that I still don't think we're there yet. I still think that, each game they play, they're learning more and more. They're watching themselves on film. They're growing. And so they still got to continue to get better. There's a lot to be learned about all of them. And when you watch them play in the games, you get more and more feedback, and that's it. So it's their job to take the feedback from the coaches and try to get better. But I've said before, we're going to need them all. I think they all bring different things to the table, but I don't think we're in a position where right now we're going to make, like you said, a hierarchy. I think they all need to learn how to play in different areas and get better and keep growing from there. I don't think we're there right now, as much as I'd like to say we are. But
all right. So do you need 4? Do you need all 4 of them? No, you don't. Last year you needed Quinn and Trey. Unless there's injury, no, you don't need 4. But it's true that the 3 younger ones, they've all not played a lot of football. Even when we look at Peoples, he's only carried the ball 20 more times in his career than Bo Jackson. So they're all pretty green. And we look at the total number of carries, like 68 for Bo, 20 for Isaiah. On his career for Peoples, just 80. So yeah, they all need more reps. Does Donaldson need more reps? I don't think so, but he's going to get them because he's the guy that they're using as the battering ram. And is it wise to go ahead and just play these 4 guys and keep them as fresh as possible for the next 3-4 games when you're playing the Big Ten teams that are 3-13? Probably. It probably is, but I think it's also wise to try and find some kind of rhythm here that you're going to use going into what I consider to be the playoffs. And that starts at the game and the conference championship and anything further. That to me is all the playoffs. That's when you need to be in some kind of rhythm, because it's not felt like there's been any rhythm out of that backfield the entire time. So I would certainly like to see maybe the next 2 games, whatever. It doesn't really matter. As long as Isaiah gets some more carries, so he's getting some more experience, I think that's the only imperative thing for this backfield. And then as you get into, the last couple of games of the regular season, to try to dial in what's the best to use in the postseason, which is some combination of Isaiah and Bo, and then maybe a little offshoot of one of the other ones, which, I don't know, man. It is what it is. But that is what Ryan Day had to say. Now, I would like to remind you all to please like today's show. If you like today's show, if you don't need to like it, but you don't need to hit the thumbs down. Who are these people that hit thumbs down on somebody's video? Like, people spend time putting these things together. Who are you to go put a thumbs down on someone's video? I have one every day, I think it's one person. I bet it's a competitor. I bet it's a competitor who just goes by my videos and clicks thumbs down. There's only one every day. Every day he comes and hits it. Buster. I wish I knew who that guy was. Anyway, our little Julian this week wins the Sean Alexander Freshman of the Week. Oh, please like the show. Please subscribe to the show, because we need to keep rolling with those subscriptions. That is the currency by which we operate, those of us who do this. So please subscribe to the show. Our little Julian this week, I keep calling him that, and I don't know why that comes. It just sounds kind of funny. He wins the Sean Alexander Freshman of the Week Big Ten award. freshman of the week for all of college football. Then he wins the Big Ten freshman of the week. Then he wins the Big Ten offensive player of the week. I don't like second-year guys being called freshmen, but whatever, I'll take it. They're just not freshmen. That's all. That's all. They're not really freshmen. It's a designation. It's not really what they are. But it bolsters his resume. It bolsters his resume as we got a potential Heisman Trophy candidate. Now, Jeremiah was in that race. He's not anymore. But I do want to talk about the race that Jeremiah is in. That's the Biletnikoff, the best wide receiver in college football. And everybody knows this. Jeremiah Smith is the best wide receiver in college football. Everybody knows this. That's just as close to a fact as we have in college football. Everybody admitted he was the best football player before you come into the season. So how in the world could it be that you're looking at Jeremiah Smith and some other wide receivers and he not be the guy who is tops odds-on favorite to win the Biletnikoff Award? How could that be? The only way that could be is if someone was blowing him away in statistics and you had a stat monster versus Jeremiah Smith, right? That's the only way that could be. Well, On3 put together a poll. They put together a poll with some of their top writers. You had Andy Staples and Charles Power, our buddy Ari, Burt McMurphy, and this guy, JD Pickle. You know JD Pickle. JD Pickle, whose eye test told him heading into last week that Miami was the number one best looking team in the country, Texas Tech number 2, Ohio State number 3. That guy's eye test was part of this poll. Now, number 1 on their list for the Biletnikoff, 48 catches, 758 yards, 6 touchdowns, Mekhi Lemon, 40 total points. Number 2, with 44 catches, 638, and 6 touchdowns, Chris Bell from Louisville. That lumbering big kid that just beat Miami that looked like he was gassed at the 10-yard line. Couldn't barely get in the end zone, but he did, and I'm proud of him. Way to go, buddy. That is not some kind of dynamic, great wide receiver. It's just not. Number 3, Jeremiah Smith, 49 catches. That is more than both of them. 602 yards. That's a little less than both of them. 7 touchdowns. That's more than both of them. So the guy that we all acknowledge is the best wide receiver in the country leads them both in 2 statistical categories out of 3, yet somehow they got him behind that. And this is exactly what it is with Ohio State right now. People are just bored with Ohio State. They're bored with Ohio State. They're bored with Jeremiah Smith. And it really reminds me of all the years that went between the Big Ten giving Ohio State's coach the Coach of the Year award. I don't remember how many years it was, but it was decades, right? Like, that's just, you can't give it to Ohio State. Like, that's just too easy. This is wrong. It's just flat out wrong. It's wrong. Statistically and obviously, Jeremiah Smith is the best wide receiver in the country. And if he doesn't win the Biletnikoff, I'm going to be furious, man. I'm going to be furious. Carnell Tate's numbers, by the way, he's number 4 in their poll. So Ohio State has 2 of the top 5. Elijah Surratt, number 5. But man, that irks the hell out of me. It really does. This week on the show, by the way, Julian Sayin catching some real praise nationally. I don't know if you've caught Todd McShay on and on and on about Julian. And recently we saw, man, these PFF dudes, this dude, Dalton from PFF. I'm going to have this guy on the show. Listen to this PFF guy. And these guys, man, they cover this crew here, NFL, college. This is what they do, man. Statistics and like the stat monsters. But listen to what this guy, I made a little cut up. Listen to what he has to say about Julian Sayin.
I just can't take my eyes off Julian Sayin, man. He doesn't miss. Casual, 91.6 passing grade, 36 for 42. 36 for 42. I mean, when we say he's the most accurate quarterback in the country, that's just what it is. He is unbelievable. He just doesn't miss. He's got 85.5% adjusted completion rate this year. He's the most accurate quarterback in the country. It's not even an argument. You can see him making plays outside the pocket, on the move, on the bootlegs, and I don't even know how you stop this. If he's going to keep throwing like Drew Brees, I don't know how you stop the Julian Sayin at this point. He's not just really good. It feels like he's unfair.
No.
Just carved him up.
Yep.
Like it was nothing. He's unreal. For a redshirt freshman to be throwing the ball the way he's throwing it, and he's in the Heisman race. There is a real chance he wins it. He's off the charts.
I would say he's the Heisman favorite right now. I think he's the best quarterback in college football. We had him win the Davey O'Brien Award going into the week after our midseason, and he showed why in that game right there. And yes, Ohio State's kind of hasn't had to throw that often, which is why his numbers might not be as gaudy as some other quarterbacks in the country, but what he's doing efficiency-wise is the best in the nation by a mile. He is the best quarterback in college football, in my opinion.
Now, the truth is, his statistics do match up with the best of the best in the P5. And it is just interesting to listen to. I mean, it just gives us confirmation, right? That no, we're not crazy and we're not being outlandish to say what we're seeing here is not just special. It is way, way different. It's off the charts. And you can see like these guys got no reason to play him up like that. No reason at all. It's blowing people away. It's blowing people away. Here's what I'm not going to play Todd McShay. You can go find Todd McShay. But man, he was similar. He was similar. Buy stock in Julian Sayin. These are people who know the position. And obviously the position is the hardest one to judge when it comes from transitioning to college football to the NFL. We're not talking about that. I don't care about that. Some people say, try to knock Ohio State. You don't put NFL quarterbacks. I don't care. I'm a college football fan. And in college football this year, Julian Sayin, without a doubt, a top 3 quarterback, maybe the best in college football. And I'm just saying that to try to tone myself down so I don't sound like some ridiculous homer. Without a doubt, top 3. Now, top 3 quarterback, 2 best wide receivers, very good offensive line, best defense in the country. And you got people like Stu Mandel writing articles like this. You know, little Stu, little Cincinnati Stu Ball, who I can't stand, always never misses a shot to take out on to try to knock Ohio State. Does Cincinnati Stu. Here's the headline of his article today. And shout out to our buddy Fisherman for keeping me in the loop on this one. He says, he blocked me. He blocked me. He blocked me. Oh my gosh. That's too funny. Cincinnati Stu Ball. All right, here's the title. In this week's mailbag, I dared to suggest that maybe, possibly, Ohio State is not as invincible as it seems, or at least its competition has not been as advertised. Who has advertised its competition as world beaters? I don't think anybody has said that, anybody at all. But to suggest that maybe, possibly, Ohio State is not as invincible as it seems, that's not some unique take. Everybody's saying that. That's the cool kids' take right now, is that obviously you see JD Pickle. Like the cool kids' take in media is, no, it's not Ohio State. It's Miami. It's Penn State. It's Clemson. We've gone through this as we've gone about the season, right? It's always somebody else. And the truth is, it's been Ohio State all along. It's been Ohio State all along. I'm not going to delve into the article, Stu Ball's article, though I usually do. It just irritates me, so I'm not going to do it today. Why don't we pivot to some recruiting, some old names in the news, and we'll start with Tyler Bowen. Now, interestingly enough, Tyler Bowen, I just got done recording tomorrow's show, and I recorded it with Landon Tangwell, who is a former Penn State offensive lineman. He was a 5-star recruit, class of 2020, had to medically retire for concussions, which sucks, but he's gotten into this space. What I do, really good. Breaks down film, covers Penn State, but he's branching out, and he's been doing Ohio State film breakdown. Really loves a couple of the Buckeye offensive linemen, and we talked about those guys. Also talked about Tyler Bowen, who he knows very well from his time at Penn State, and some interesting stuff there. He told a fantastic story of how he got his Ohio State offer when he was 15 years old, courtesy of none other than Chase Young. You're not going to want to miss this story. So that'll be tomorrow's show. Tell us what you think about this offensive line, this group, these players, a couple of your favorites here.
Yeah, I've been pounding on the table for more love for Luke Montgomery. First off, I think he is one of the best guards in the nation, and he has not gotten close to enough love there. The combo blocks, meaning like you got a defensive tackle between Sarveld and Montgomery. I mean, every time I see it, I say these poor defensive tackles that are just getting moved out of the way. And look, there's a nastiness to this offensive line. Even the tight end group, especially who's 89, Will Kazmarek. Like I've seen him dump. He dumps dudes. Like it's fun. Like there is an intensity that there is clearly emphasized in the meeting rooms of like, hey, we're not going to go out there and block. We're going to go out there and dominate someone and move someone from point A to point B against their will, and we're going to have some damn fun while doing it. And that's what you see out of everybody that's run blocking on this offense. But
so
yeah,
be sure to check that one out tonight, Wednesday night on Buckeye Huddle Primetime. Myself and Tony Gerdeman will chop it up. Always a fun conversation with me and Tone. Later on today, we have got a Juckeyes recruiting chat, just some stories to go over. Not any big movement other than a potential linebacker new offer, and I think that this one might be the one that ends up in the class. So we will take a look at him, talk about James Laurinaitis. Some people not going to be happy about this one. I think that we just got to have a talk about look, there's a lot of 3-stars in this class, 12 4-stars, 8 3-stars, and people are getting irritated by the number of 3-stars. Some of this is intentional, right? And we'll talk about the whole philosophy behind that. I was accused of gassing up Buckeye fans about this class because I said that I like this class despite it being the 9th ranked class. And, I'm disappointed that it's the 9th ranked class. I don't want the 9th ranked class. I want a top 5 class every year. I wanted the number 1 ranked class last year. I thought we were well on our way and we're going to get it. We didn't. As far as this class goes, yes, it's disappointing, but at the same time, I really love the evaluations that they've done at the bottom end of the class. I think that they have nailed on a lot of these evaluations, even more so than 2025. And that's just my personal opinion on the prospects. So I get it if you're not someone who, takes the time to look into things like that. If you're just looking at the number and you say, well, that looks like you went backwards. Remember, it only goes backwards if it plays out on the field the way it plays out when it's ranked. I think it'll play out better than the 9th ranked class. So not gassing anybody up. I'm certainly not one to withhold criticism. I give it where I feel it's warranted. And we have some criticisms about this class for sure. But we will talk more about that in our Juckeyes recruiting chat later. I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great day.